Greetings! You did not click on Flag Football 101 with Josh Campbell, but instead you have clicked on St. Paul's podcast Beyond the Sermon. During this time, we would look beyond the words that our preachers have preached that are full of life. I'm your host, Michael Sinn, and today I have Pastor Smith joining me for week number 2. Say hey-o to the people.
Hey-o!
Every time every time I think of that, I think of the what's the the videos that we sometimes will play for chapel of the.
Oh yeah, what? I don't remember what they're called.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, though.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
They're like animated retellings of the Bible stories for kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will always hear the kids as they're sitting down, like a good chunk of them will repeat once the one person says it.
Mm-hmm.
So it has made an impact on the kids. They remember that.
Yeah. It's funny because they have a narrator, but then the biblical characters, if they're responding to something, it does sound like hey-o.
Yeah, because they don't speak. It's all the narrative.
Don't.
So
it's almost like the Charlie Brown, the adults talking, and it just it's just unintelligible.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Exactly. But we're talking, we're laughing, is it it's such a great feeling that our Wednesday services are finished, so we can now just coast until Advent begins.
I don't know. Yeah, do we even have any church services this week? Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah. Hopefully, I might need to check my calendar just to make sure I'm not forgetting something. But I know we don't have a Wednesday service.
Yes.
For sure.
And hopefully our listeners know that we are being very sarcastic right now. As there is, let's see, correct me if I'm wrong, let's see, if we have 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 9 services total?
We do,
Thursday to Sunday?
One of them on Friday, though, is a 3-hour service. So
yeah,
I don't know, does that count for more than one?
No, I'm only counting that as well.
Yeah. If you attend all 3 hours, though, you get credit for 3 services.
Ooh.
We'll say that.
Okay.
I don't know who's counting
all
these
of
things.
them, do I get some years off of purgatory?
I can't. I don't think I have that authority. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask Pastor Josh. Maybe he has that authority.
I do have.
Or Mr. Kyle probably does.
I do.
Him being another boss.
Yeah. Although I can confidently say that if you believe in Jesus, you won't go there at all.
Then I'm good then. All right. And then, we'll go a little bit more about those services here at the end of the podcast. But I feel like we should begin with some of your sermon questions as well now.
Let's do it.
All right. So, recently we got to, I don't know, was this past Sunday considered a feast or a festival or holiday?
Yeah, I think
all the above.
In some way, you'd probably say it's like a Palm Sunday is like a festival day. I actually don't really know the exact definition of what that means. I probably should know that. It's certainly one of the more special Sundays of the year, though. Palm Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Nevertheless, the special celebration. How much did that influence your preaching this past week?
Well, a lot. Yeah, Palm Sunday. It's a unique day to preach on, because you're working with a particular text. Like this year or this time it was the Gospel of John. But you're also thinking of the occasion. So it's I am working with this text, but I know. This is the start of the holiest week, right? And we know that things are only going to get worse from here, as far as how the events of Jesus' week go.
If I were to recap a little bit to make things becoming worse, but to make things better.
I feel like someone preached about that recently.
I think so. I think it was a very wise preacher that taught me that.
But yeah, so I try to be kind of balanced in the way that I approach Palm Sunday, because this is, I don't know, I feel like for whatever reason, more years than not, I think I have preached on Palm Sunday. I don't know. I guess half the years that I've been here, I've probably preached on Palm Sunday. So it's kind of a familiar feeling as I'm thinking, okay, I want to give Palm Sunday its due, and there is a certain level of pomp and joy, and there's Jesus being praised, but it's like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know that those shouts of Hosanna are going to change to crucify him in just a few days, and so I think being aware of that is helpful, and it's just an interesting dynamic too, because like there will be a portion of the congregation that they'll be here on Palm Sunday, but then they probably won't worship again until Easter. And then there'll be some that they're going to go to all the services that you just listed off. You know, they'll be here for Maundy, Thursday, they'll be here for Good Friday, and then they'll kind of get more in depth of the whole story of the week. But yeah, so I try to be a little more restrained and have a kind of a bit of a somber character to a Palm Sunday sermon. Yeah, and it's just like in the hymnal, some of the hymns for Palm Sunday are just big, bold, praise Jesus hymns, but there are a couple, and like the one that I chose as the closing hymn has more of a bittersweet.
Yeah.
I think that would be maybe the word that I would use to describe Palm Sunday in my mind. It's kind of bittersweet.
Okay.
Because like on its own as a day, there's good thing. I mean, it's like the crowds kind of get it right. They're praising Jesus as the king.
Yeah.
But then things go off the rails. But it's like that the way that they welcome him into the city kind of endures. It kind of ages well. Some people got it right.
Yeah.
But then he does get crucified. so there's
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should still come to Good Friday worship.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your opening illustration. You like that kind of guided you a little bit of like, oh, this is how I want to start the sermon out.
Well, yeah, I had some fun with this concept of like you want to see Jesus, and so to get into that, I asked everybody, why do you come to church?
Yeah.
So that was, I had some fun with that, and kind of I theorized a few reasons why people come to church, but then I said, well, one of the reasons is it's to see Jesus, to hear about Jesus, whatever, to take Jesus in with whatever senses God has given you, to see or hear. And so then I started to think about that, because I think that is that line, this group of Greek people say, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." That they're talking to the disciples, and that you can take that phrase out and apply that, to other things as well. I think it's a good guiding desire for a church to have. Like, hey, we want to see Jesus. The people that are coming here, they want to see Jesus. And so I talked about, these two different memories that I have. One is, I don't know who put this card in our pulpit.
That was me.
I know, you actually signed the back. Yeah,
I did, because it was one of those like, oh, I really should put the reason to like someone's like criticizing the previous week preacher or something.
Well, so when I saw that, so I did mention this in the traditional services, because there is an index card in the pulpit that says, like, "Sir, we wish to hear about Jesus today," I think is what it says.
With a smiley face.
With a smiley face, yes. And I think I saw that. You had been here for a few months, I think, before it appeared.
Yes, I think so.
And so then it appeared one day, and I thought, well, you hear about pastors getting anonymous notes from people, passive aggressive, like, whatever, and so I was like, man, that's kind of, but then a few days later I looked at it again, and I actually flipped it over, and then you had put a note, and you actually had signed it.
Yes.
So if you become even more famous, it might be worth something someday, because it has your signature on there.
Shit, when I get to the LCMS headquarters as head of the DCE ministry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then I'll be worth some money.
Yeah, it might be my retirement fund.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it is a good reminder. Not only do we have this weekly question on this podcast, how did you get to Jesus? There's this card in the pulpit, lest I step up there and think, oh no, I don't have any Jesus material in here. I have that reminder, or even Lutheran pastors do have Jesus material in their sermons, so it's just it reinforces, hey, this is why I'm getting up here.
Yep.
Is because the people want to hear about Jesus.
I mean, if you don't say the word Jesus once in a sermon, like,
Yeah,
that's not a good thing.
Well, I think it's the book of Esther does not have the word God in it. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, no God. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was something else.
Yeah, it's just a, I'm not trying to say it shouldn't be in the Bible, but it's an interesting quirk that people have noticed.
Yeah, because Luther does bring that up.
Yeah.
And along with James as well. Having some, but that's a whole different
can
of worms right there.
So I was thinking about that card that's in our pulpit, and then also I told about how my home pastor preached at my ordination service, and he preached on this exact text. And I don't think in my Palm Sunday preaching, I don't think I've preached on the Palm Sunday story from John's Gospel, or if I have, like the part about the "Sir, we wish to see Jesus," and then what Jesus says after that, that's not technically in the appointed reading for Palm Sunday. So I did tack that on because I thought, I don't think we usually talk about this little part of the story, and it goes well, I think, with the Palm Sunday theme. So I was just thinking, okay, so I've got this card in the pulpit, I've got my home pastor's words echoing, and hey, when you're a pastor, remember that people want to hear about Jesus, so give them Jesus. Mm-hmm. Pastor Bugler used to a lot of times on Sunday mornings say, "Give them heaven." I think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard him say that.
Yeah, he would say it like sometimes when we, the pastors would pray together on Sunday morning, and we'd stand up and he'd say, "Give them heaven, boys," or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know within your opening illustration too, you talk about this interesting place, Illinois. It's like I don't know this place. I've heard of Illinois, but not Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've told you it was a lot quieter where I grew up.
Well, that makes sense. I know Mike Becker and we were a little confused by that as well, so it's like I want to throw that out there too. All right, so question number 3 that I had for you is, what was your goal objective that you wanted people to get out of your sermon? Like, okay, this is the hook. It's like, if you don't remember anything else, remember this.
Well, I wanted them, I guess the part where I was inviting some reflection or maybe even some homework would have been, what needs to be buried in your life? Mm. And there's different ways to take that. How I got there was, Jesus says the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified, but then he starts talking about burial, and it's like, burial does not sound very glorious, but with Jesus, if you're buried with him in his death, then you rise with him to new life. Mm-hmm. But when we think about that, we think, well, if we're being really honest, I don't want everything about myself to rise from the dead. There are some things I want to die. I want to die to sin. I want to die to self. And maybe there are even particular things, particular temptations, particular struggles that I don't want those to be around anymore. And so that's what I was thinking of. I'm not telling you to, go bury some part of your life that you don't want to deal with anymore, that's unresolved. Don't just like ignore something that needs to be dealt with, but is there something that can die and be left in the graveyard and you can move on from that? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think, I've thought about that for myself. I have to think about that regularly. It's not like just one time I thought, I need to bury that, and now I'm just fine. Yeah. I'm perfect now. Mm-hmm. There are more things that pop up from time to time, right? That you have to think, I got to bury that too. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought, and I thought, here at the Lent is kind of, I think it's an introspective season anyway, where we maybe take stock, or we should be at least. We should be thinking. Yeah. how am I doing, right? How am I doing following Jesus? How am I doing in the roles that He's given me? Are there things that I could, with the help of God, right, cut out, bury, say goodbye to? I think during Holy Week is a good time to think about that.
Yeah, most definitely. I know there's things. Yep, I need to continue working on myself. Um, and like Memento, like we're doing that program Memento right now. It's like, oh yeah, this is definitely helping that out too, where it's not just in every like focusing on every day, not just like when I'm in the pew on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and that emphasis of Memento, if any men are listening and they're curious about what that is, you can talk to us and find out more.
Yep.
But I think that's been coloring some of the ways I've been looking at Lent this year for sure. Yeah. What can I leave buried in Lent?
Yeah, I know.
So
it's given me a new appreciation of how to evaluate myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Question number 4. Now, did you have like, okay, this is my plan. We're gonna go this way with the sermon. It's like, man, I kind of think I want to go this way. So like, did it go in a different direction than you expected, or like, nope, one track mind. This is what we're going with the whole time, no matter what.
I didn't. Yeah, it's not so much. Not so much the one track mind. I think there are different things in a Bible text that a preacher will latch on to more, and sometimes it is that like, sir, we wish to see Jesus. That a preacher can hear that and be like, oh, there's so much I can do with that. I can have this track or this path or whatever. It just kind of works, and you start to build what you want to say off of that.
Yeah.
So that's I was kind of off to the races on that, and then I started to really think about this Jesus' glory, and the hour has come. And it is interesting how at various points he says, my hour has not yet come. My hour has not yet come. And then now he says the hour has come. And I think sometimes we think, well, yeah, of course his hour has come, but when he says the hour, like for me to be glorified, for Jesus, his glory contains all the things he's going to go through, even the suffering and the death and the burial. So I started to think, man, this is the Jesus that we want to see, though. Whether we kind of set out that way or not, this is the Jesus that we need to see, is even the one who is buried, and that's the big focus for this week. And so I started to think, okay, do I have two? Am I trying to do two sermons in one? The we wish to see Jesus, and then like the buried one. And I thought, well, that's just kind of how it's going to be this week. People, if it's two different sermons, people are kind of getting two in one. And I felt like it. I felt good about it. I think for a Palm Sunday, kind of a leading into Holy Week, I felt like it kind of accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, it did seem like that to be continued kind of a theme.
Yeah,
as well.
That's again, yeah. When I approach Palm Sunday, I think. Hopefully the Palm Sunday sermon, it can stand on its own, but I do want it to be in the context of there's definitely more. There's more things coming.
Yeah.
Different than like a random sermon in the month of October or something, like where you're not as tied to that, hey, this week there's a lot of moving parts. So yeah, it's an interesting approach. I think pastors sometimes we might struggle with, or we might overthink things a little bit more when it comes to Holy Week.
Yeah. All right. My last sermon question I have for you is, sir, we want to hear about Jesus today, but also every day. How did you make sure to preach about Jesus this past Sunday?
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of going with Jesus. Hey, guys, I'm going to be buried, and I've got to. Sometimes things like a seed of grain, they got to die in the ground before they can, produce fruit. And I think that's for him too. He's like, I'm going to have to die, but it is going to produce like the greatest fruit that the world has ever seen. And so, yeah, it's that glory that Christ is going to have, even on the cross. I mean, it's easy to think about the glory from the empty tomb, the risen Jesus, but that he has glory in the suffering and the death and the burial. It's a little. I mean, we get it because we've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
We know that's a necessary part of our salvation and the mission of Christ, but it still sounds a little bit odd. It's like there's a lot more glorious things that you could talk about with Jesus.
Yeah.
But this is what God calls glory too.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, and then I guess that was kind of when I thought of I quoted, a couple verses from Romans 6, Paul talking about baptism in the context of us being buried with Christ. I was like, oh, that's kind of, as I was working on this, I'm like, oh, that's like the missing link there, I think, for me to how we're connected in that burial process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about Jesus. We got to see Jesus.
Yep. Need to every minute, every hour, every day. Amen to that. All right. Well, that is all the sermon questions I got for you. Is there anything else you want to add before we move on to the deer in the headlights question?
Let's do the deer in the headlights.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. Are you a BLT fan?
BLT?
Yeah. Bacon, lettuce, tomato?
I love bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Like the sandwich and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any preferences for, what type of bacon that you would usually put on there? Or are you just good with any bacon?
Pretty much any bacon. I'm a,
I don't know if you're like a veggie bacon person.
No. Well, I don't know.
Or turkey bacon.
I don't know if I've ever had veggie bacon that I know of.
Okay.
Turkey bacon, I've had some turkey bacon. I prefer pig bacon.
Yep. I mean, that's a golden choice right there.
As far as it goes with bacon, I do prefer my bacon to be a little more on the well done, on the crispy side.
Okay.
I'm not real picky about it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I know whenever I go to a restaurant, I was I don't like mayonnaise. So I will usually request no mayonnaise on the side whenever I order that. I don't know. Are you a mayonnaise person on your BLTs?
So I like less mayo than the average person.
Okay.
But on a BLT I'd want some, yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, I will pass all my mayonnaise to you for this next part of the question.
Okay.
And so I will keep ordering BLTs and get the mayo on the side for you to complete this task. And so, how long do you think it would take for you to cover a full-size adult giraffe in mayonnaise?
You mean if I had? Are you saying how many sandwiches would you have to order?
Oh no! How
many hours would it take me to
how many
paint
hours?
this?
Yeah. I will keep ordering and eating BLTs and get the mayo on the side and pass it to you so you can cover this giraffe in mayonnaise. So how long?
How long would it take me?
Yeah, minutes.
Well, it depends.
Hours,
do I have a paint roller? Do I have a spray? Am I spray painting this giraffe? Because it depends on the tool that I have.
Ooh, that is true.
Or is it's just like a small paintbrush?
I'll give you a paintbrush on that one.
Okay, so one that I would be using in my home if I was painting the walls, the more detailed paint, not a roller.
Not a roller,
but
no.
one that
one that's
But the audio listeners can't see how I'm
3 inches
gesturing.
long.
Okay.
Roller.
Yeah, I bet that would
not
take me.
Not the fine when you're trying to get the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no.
I mean, are you then reviewing the draft to be oh, you missed a spot on his ankle?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not underneath the feet. But we'll say the giraffe will be perfectly still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking.
I'll say too, the giraffe is a full-size adult giraffe is about 17 feet.
And is it standing still, or am I having to?
I'll make it a little easier for you that it is standing still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how often I had to chase him around and then set my ladder back up.
No, I'm gonna be nice with this question.
I'm gonna say 3 hours is what came to mind.
3 hours.
3 hours with the mayonnaise. Yeah.
All right. If it helps, I'll try to order extra mayonnaise on the side.
Okay.
That way we can speed up this process
a little bit
more.
I mean, mayo probably doesn't spread quite as well.
But I couldn't tell you because I don't order mayo.
If I'm out in the hot African sun, or is this at the Cleveland Zoo? I don't know how the man.
We'll say it's at the Yard House.
Indoors?
Yeah, we'll say it's indoors.
Okay.
Yeah, at the Yard House.
They do have high
so
enough
it's AC,
ceilings. Okay.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we'll
Yeah,
go with.
I 3.
That way I'm
I
not
bet-
having to order at the restaurant and then drive
Yeah.
it to the zoo and then drive back to get more.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because like the neck is not real wide, so I feel like that would be once I got the hindquarters or whatever the main part,
The main body.
the main body of
Yeah.
the giraffe. Once I got it covered, I'd be like, oh, this is kind of a breeze going up here,
Yeah.
Probably 3 hours and then maybe an extra 30 minutes to do the touch-ups.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
It'd probably take twice that long in reality.
I could not tell you. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, I'll chat GPT and we'll get back to you on
Sometimes your questions are like, I can see where you thought of that, and other times I'm like, you're a little twisted, man.
I mean, I gotta keep you guys on your toes every so often. Like, I gotta make a very vague introduction and then go bam right into it for that shock factor.
I'm starting to get hungry with this BLT, and now I'm kind of grossed out by it.
Sorry, but not sorry for that. All right, well, that is going to be our show for today. Thank you coming on for week 2 for Beyond the Sermon. So next week will be a special episode because I will not be interviewing one pastor, but 2 pastors for the 2nd annual Easter Spectacular, where our pastors will interview each other, and I will get a little bit of a break after a tough Sunday. So we'll let them talk a little bit longer on their stuff. I'm your host, Michael Sinn, and have a great rest of your day. Oh, wait, pause on that. Pastor Smith, could you remind the listeners about our services for this weekend?
No church on Wednesday, even though we've had church the last 6 Wednesdays. Monday, Thursday, noon and 6:30.
Okay.
Good Friday, we've got that noon to 3.
Yep.
The Traore service. You can come for any or all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the evening on Good Friday, 6:30 contemporary, 7:30 traditional. No service on Saturday. Easter Sunday, a little bit different than our normal Sunday schedule. We have a total of 4 services, 2 at 9 o'clock, 2 at 11 o'clock. So we have a traditional and a contemporary, both at 9 and 11. Easter breakfast in between. And then that's it.
I think that's it. Then we get a little bit get to relax for a little bit and celebrate with the family afterwards.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you for that. Now you all can have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.